Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our webinar today, Strategies for Negotiation Success. My name is Eliza. I am certified also coach, leadership coach from Ignite Global. I did recently my certification, and I am a founder of Discover New You, which is our digital VIP leadership platform. I will just put someone out. So what we do very quick, we are the only leadership platform at the moment for VIP leaders around the world with proven coaching methodology that we help leaders, VIP leaders around the world to transform their businesses for sustainable, innovative growth and their brands where the adoption for change and the speed of transformation is quite on demand at the moment. And I'm working with different partners from different industries. And one of the topic is negotiation. So I have our new partner, Anui Yaganathan. He is expert in terms of negotiation. He has 23 years experience in financial services, working for Visa, Google, PwC. He's also John Maxwell expert and negotiation corporate trainer. So if you have any questions, please ask at the end of our presentation, and you can ask Anui. Yeah, and I'll let you know then how to contact us if you have any interest to work with us. Okay, Anu, please.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for everybody who is joined so far. Just before we start, maybe we'll do a quick round of that introduction. In the sense, you could probably just say where you are from and what you do. That help us at least know where you are joining from and what is the role, that we can also discuss later if you have any specific questions around your role. Is the voice breaking? I think somebody's saying voice is breaking.
It's a little bit breaking the voice, so I don't know. It's the connection or.
Okay. Is it good now? Is it better now?
Yeah, a bit better, but everybody are on mute, so should work.
Okay. How about now, Ashwin? Is it good now?
It is a bit better, yeah.
Okay, I think it seems a little bit better. Maybe I have to point towards the computer. I don't know why. But anyway, so please on the chat message, maybe you can say where you are from and what do you do. That will be great. And then we can start off. I think we have a good number of people right now, so we'll start off with the presentation. Can somebody at least tell me if you can see the screen that I'm presenting? Of course, I just make sure everybody can see it. And do you see it?
Yeah, yes, we do.
Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. As you have already, I actually have been a corporate finance professional for a long time. And let me go into the introduction here. So I've been a finance profession for a very long time. Finance professionals, 23 plus years of experience. I've worked at companies like Google, Visa, KPMG, and others, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and others. I'm also an MBA, and by qualification, my first qualification was accountant. So that's how I went into finance. Now, over the years, I have accumulated a lot of experience in dealing with executives, clients, stakeholders. So that's where a lot of my experience comes from. I have actually worked across the world in 4 different locations, and I bring all that experience into what I do now. So I'm like Eliza said, I'm a negotiation trainer, but at the same time, I've been teaching negotiation for 5.5 plus years now. But at the same time, I'm also a leadership coach. I do coaching and mentoring. I also teach communication skills. I host a lot of leadership events and so on, a lot of things. I'm the CEO of a newly founded company, Propellers Consulting. And I'm also an author of two books, Negotiation Quotient, which was the first book that came out in 2019. It's a book for professionals like you, adults and professionals. And then the second book was for kids and young adults to learn negotiation early in their life. So We Can Negotiate Too is the second book that came out in 2020, so last year. So without further ado, I think I'll go forward and maybe ask some of you, either chat or if you want to talk, what do you understand by negotiation? Anybody?
I like to give you my feedback, and you, yes.
Yes,
What I
yes,
understand
please.
in negotiation is, first of all, to listen to who I am sitting in front of, to understand
Okay,
his needs, and then accordingly to his needs, I enter to give him a good service. And first analyzing the needs of a client, potential client.
okay, wonderful, wonderful. That's great. Thank you. So let's go into the actual definition that I have come up with. So negotiation is an interactive exchange. So like Sabina said, it's talking to other person, right? It could be between two or more parties. Sometimes it's multi-party negotiation. And this is to achieve desired outcomes. So when I say desired outcomes, each party has an outcome that they come into a negotiation for, meaning they need something from that negotiation. So that is the desired outcome. So the parties come together, they have the interactive exchange, and they want to achieve their desired outcomes. Now, the best way for a negotiation to move forward is not only have or not only achieve your own desired outcome, but you achieve outcomes for everybody. So that's what it's meant by integrated basis. So you achieve outcomes on an integrative basis. So everybody gets what they want, at least to a major part. Everybody can walk away feeling satisfied that they have got something from the negotiations. So it is an interactive exchange between two or more parties to achieve desired outcomes, not only individually but also on an integrative basis. So to put it very, very simply, in a negotiation, everybody wants something. And in that negotiation, if you can have that interactive exchange and create solutions that everybody can get most of what they want, maybe not everything, but most of what they want, and they can walk out walk out of the negotiation thinking, okay, I've at least got a lot. That is a successful negotiation. So it is an interactive exchange, achieve desired outcomes, and then interest of everyone. So I think Sabina mentioned also interest or the needs of everybody. So you have to keep in mind, it's not only about you, it's also about the other party. Correct? Can I move forward? Any questions on this? Okay. So now let me tell you, any negotiation class cannot be taught in, or any negotiation concepts also in detail cannot be taught in 1 hour. So what I will introduce you to today is going to be at a high level. It is from my book, The Negotiation Quotient, but it is meant to be in extreme detail. But then in the 1 hour that we have today, I can only cover as much because of time constraints. So I'm going to introduce to you some topics, some concepts, some techniques, but I won't be able to go into too much of detail. Before I go into this, let me ask you, generally, how many times in a day do you think we negotiate? And I'll tell you based on my experience how many times we negotiate, but based on whatever you know or what you think, how many times in a day do you think we negotiate? You can put it in the chat. Okay, we have answers 10, 20, whole day. Yeah, whole day we are negotiating, but how many situations? Or we are negotiating the whole day. Yes, absolutely right. We are constantly negotiating. So based on my own experience, after I published my first book, I said, okay, I'm going to do at least some research or keep track basically of how many times we negotiate in a day. Based on my own count or tracking, we negotiate on an average between 3 to 4 times a day. And when I say 3 to 4 times a day, these are 3 to 4 topics that we negotiate on. on a single topic within those 3 to 4 topics, we could negotiate multiple times. For example, can somebody tell me what is the most common topic that we negotiate for in a day? Maybe at home or with friends or okay, pricing is one. That's great. Yeah, if you're a professional, I think you negotiate a lot on pricing. But if you're a family person, you negotiate absolutely. Ankit, thank you for that. Dinner, or I would say I categorize dinner into a topic called food. We negotiate a lot for food, various aspects of food. For example, it could be breakfast or lunch or dinner, what to eat, what not to eat, where to eat, and so on. So a lot of things. Life decisions, that's a great point, Chris. We negotiate a lot for things that we have to do, decisions that we have to make. So all great answers. So thank you so much for all those. But basically the point that I was trying to put across, basically in a day, we negotiate a few times. And that's why it is extremely important for us to learn negotiation in a structured manner so that we can come up with at least some structured thought when we go into a negotiation. So this is what I present in this slide here, the balance of negotiation. So I consider, if you see a balance, right, it's two sides. When you hold a balance like that, it has two sides. One side is the science of negotiation, and the other side is the art of negotiation. So that's why I call it a balance of negotiation. In order for this balance to be balanced, both sides to be balanced, the science and the art have to complement each other, right? The science cannot be more than the art, because that means that your negotiation is good, but it's not going to be effective. And the art, only the art is not going to help your negotiation, because if you don't have the science, then you don't know what you're negotiating for. So both the science and the art have to balance each other. Now, what are the aspects of science and art of negotiation? So let's look at this. The science is a 3-phase process: prepare, engage, and close. These are the 3 phases that we go into when we start negotiating. So these 3 phases are the science of negotiation, the actual process that you would follow. In addition to that, what has to be supported, the science has to be supported by the art. And the art is basically some critical behaviors in a negotiation and some techniques. These are techniques for influencing or persuading the other party. So these techniques will actually be even subtle sometimes. These are techniques that can help you convince the other party or persuade the other party. In a negotiation, that is very important, because you have to get your point across using some of these subtle techniques. So that's why I call it influencing or persuading techniques, and these are very important in a negotiation. So there's the science and the art of negotiation together. That is called a balance of negotiation. And like I mentioned earlier, both these sides have to be matched, or at least balanced, and that's when it's the correct blend which makes your negotiation effective. So I will move forward. What we are going to do is maybe briefly discuss the science and the art. I don't know how much time we are going to get to do detail, so I'll have to keep it high level, and then we'll see if we can get to some questions at the end, right? So if you look at the science, the first phase is prepare. In the prepare phase, this is where you come up with aspects of negotiation, the considerations in a negotiation that you have to work towards. So prepare phase is the pre-engaging. So before you start engaging or talking to the other party, what do you have to do to get yourself ready? So there are things like approaches to negotiation. There is the CAV framework. There's interests, alternatives, and types of negotiation. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get into too much detail, but I will introduce the CAV framework and the interests. So I think the second and the third here, these are 2 key takeaways that I would like to introduce you to. One is the CAV framework, and then the second is the interest. So the others, I think we will keep it for some other day for a detailed discussion, but let me introduce the CAV framework first. Now, as Benjamin Franklin has said, failing to prepare is preparing for failure. Meaning, if you don't prepare adequately in a negotiation, you are preparing for failure in the negotiation or failure of the negotiation. So it is extremely important that you have prepared well and you are ready to engage. So let's talk about the CAV framework first. The CAV framework is comprised of three aspects or three pillars, as I call them. One is the C is the competency. Competency is basically in a negotiation, whether you are offering a product or you're offering a service or you have an idea. In any of these cases, CAV framework can be applied. And the CAV framework tells you, okay, what is the competency of your idea, or what is the competency of your product? Competency basically means what is it that you're offering, and maybe some features and benefits of what you're offering. So that is the competency, right? We will do an example, so don't worry about it. I'll show you an example that will make it much more clearer, right? That is the competency. Now, ability is your unique ability to deliver that product or service, or that your unique aspect or special aspect of that idea that you have. So that is the ability. So competency, ability, and then the V stands for value. So in addition to having a good competency, meaning you have a great product that has great benefits, and you have unique abilities or special aspects of your product, if you give something extra in value, that is where finally your product, your service, your idea becomes an irresistible product or idea. So you need to have a great competency, great ability, and an extra value or additional value, and that makes your point that you're bringing across, it makes it much more stronger. Let's do an example. Okay? We all use Google. We all know Google, right? So if you have CAV framework for Google, right? What is the competency for Google? It is a search engine that makes the world's information accessible, right? We all know that. It gives you answers to your questions. Any question you have, you can just type it in and you get an answer to that, because that's what you need. You need the information, and it's bringing all that information to you, and in a blink of an eye, or maybe even faster than that, right? So that is the competency of Google. Sorry, was there a question? I heard some sounds.
No, but well, maybe we can put everybody on mute, no?
Yeah, that will be great if you could put yourself on mute. So that's the competency. Now, in terms of ability, what is Google's ability? It knows and suggests, meaning that based on all the information it has AI built in, and it has so much of data that people are searching. It knows and also suggests to you. So that's it's a special ability that Google has. It is a one-stop view for everything, in the sense that if you go and search something, a person or an event or something, it gives you all the information. Sometimes it gives you additional information on the side that has maybe a Wikipedia or some additional information. So it's a one-stop view for everything. Let's say you go and search Zurich. It'll give you not only where Zurich is, it'll give you a map for that. It'll give you some other items. It'll give you a lot of stuff. So it is a one-stop view for everything. Now, Google, of course, is based on the PageRank algorithm. PageRank algorithm, meaning it is looking at all these pages across the internet, several pages around the world, and with all that information, it's going to rank those pages based on multiple criteria, and with that criteria, it is bringing you the best pages. So that is the PageRank algorithm, which is a special ability of Unique to bring the service to you. Special ability of Google to bring that that service to you, right? That's what makes Google what it is. And then, of course, Google has a talkback feature for accessibility. So it has all these unique ability aspects that it can bring value, great service to you. Now, in terms of value, in addition to having competency and ability, so let's say Google has the competency and the ability. In addition to that, it also offers some extra value to you. And what is the extra value? The extra value is that it is it is bringing the best results that probably not many other of the service providers are able to bring to you. And that is because it also knows, based on searches that have been done over and over again, it knows what to bring to you. It also has a search navigator, so a keyboard search navigator that can help you. Google has something called Google Alerts. I don't know if any of you have tried that. Basically, if you go and sign up for a search, let's say you search for something really consistently, you can actually sign up for that, and it will send you emails with these search results. So you don't have to go and search in Google all the time. It tells you the alerts. And then Google Assistant helps you in terms of searching anywhere in any part of the wherever you are, and you just use the assistant to search. Now, coming back to the best results, one more thing that I want to highlight to you is, if you ever look at Google when it comes to, for example, an event that is happening, or a sporting event, for example, when it's a Tokyo Olympics, right? In Tokyo Olympics, if you actually just went and searched Tokyo Olympics in Google, it'll not only show you what's happening in the Olympics, it's also giving you all the information that it knows that you're probably looking for. So it'll give you medals tally. It has actually prepared all this information. Google has prepared all this information for making it easier for you to access Google or access the information. So this is what I mean by best results. It brings you the great amount of information very easily without you even sometimes asking for it. So you see, with this, the competency, ability, and value for Google are so strong that you will probably not go to any other product. It is irresistible for you to you will continue using Google. So that is what the CAV framework stands for. Now, why am I highlighting all this to you is because when you're preparing for a negotiation, you need to highlight your own CAV framework. You need to come up with what is your CAV framework for what you're presenting or providing. You need to be able to tell, okay, in your product, what is the competency, what is the ability, and then what is the extra value. So it can be applied to any situation. What I do in my workshops when I teach negotiation is I actually go through a few examples right there on how CAV framework can be applied in any part of your activity. So whether it's an idea you're sharing with a team, with a family member or a team member, whether it's a product that you're selling, whether it's a project that you're working on and you're a project manager and you want to share your ideas about the project, any part of what you're doing, you can actually come up with the competency, ability, and value. And that's why this is a very nice framework and a cool way to present what you bring to the negotiation. So here, this is CAV framework, which you can actually take with you in a negotiation, and it will highlight to the other party what is the value that you bring to the negotiation. So the second aspect that I want to highlight to you about in the prepare phase is assessing interests. So Sabina mentioned earlier that you need to know the needs, not only of yourself, the needs of the other party. And when it comes to the needs, I call them assessing interests. These are the interests of yourself and the other party. So what I say is, don't focus on positions. Instead, negotiate on interests. Positions, let me give you a small example about positions and interests, right? So if a mother is negotiating with her daughter, and mother wants the daughter to go for a swimming class, but the daughter doesn't want to go for the swimming class. The mother's position is, you have to go to the swimming class. The daughter's position is, no, I don't want to go to swimming class. Those are the positions. Now, behind those positions or underlying from those positions, there are some interests. There are some reasons, underlying interests, underlying reasons why you have those positions. Yeah, sorry, is there a question? Okay, sorry, no, I heard some sound. Okay, no problem. So behind those positions, there are some interests, and those are the interests you actually want to get down to. You need to know what are the interests, because only when you know the interest, you'll be able to come up with some solutions that will help all the parties, or both or all the parties. These interests are very important. You listen to all the interests, and then you can help them achieve what they want. So for example, in that same point or the case that I mentioned to you, if the mother wants the daughter to go for a swimming class, there could be multiple reasons. The reasons could be that it's a life-saving skill. It is very important. You will have fun with your family or friends, and it's a good exercise and so on. So those are all the interests of why the mother wants the daughter to go for a swimming class. The daughter also could have some interest on why she doesn't want to go. For example, she could say the water is too cold, or water is too deep, or I don't like to swim with other people in the same pool, or I don't want to go to the swimming class, it is too early in the morning, whatever it is, right? There are several interests. Now, if you know these interests, then that is where you can come up with solutions. So if you get down to all the interests, then you can create some mutually beneficial options and solutions that will help both parties. So that's why it is very important to get down to the interests. Now, during the prepare phase, what do you have to do? You have to prepare your own interests. So in a negotiation, what do you need? At least prepare a list of comprehensive list of all the interests. I need this. You have to make a list of all the points that you need from the negotiation, because once you make a list of all those needs, when you walk into the negotiation, you can actually get more in the negotiation just by listing out all the interests. At the same time, you could even estimate or guess what the other party's interest could be in the negotiation. You can always tell a few points you can note down as to what do they want or what do you think they want. And then when you go into the engage phase, that's where you can confirm your understanding of what they want. So in the prepare phase, prepare the list of your interest, maybe prepare a list of what their interest could be. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm just going to share this classic orange story. I don't know how many of you have heard it. This is an orange story of two sisters and an orange. If you have heard this story, please type yes. If not, then I will anyway explain the story to you. So there is one orange and there are two sisters. And both of the sisters want this orange, right? Both of them are arguing about it. And along comes the mother, and the mother says, okay, I'm going to split it into, you get half, you get half. Now, do you all think that was a great result? Can anybody type in the chat, do you think it was a great result? Anybody? Okay, Chris says yes. Ankit says yes. Okay. Eliza says yes. Okay. So generally, you would think yes. I mean, you have split the orange, you have given half. That's a great result, right? Now, let me explain to you. In this case, just coming along and not understanding the interest of the two sisters helped you split the orange and give them half. In ideal case, that should be good. But what happened was, if the mother had gone down to the interest, if she had talked to each person and said, okay, what do you want? Why do you need the interest? What do you want from it? Why do you need the orange? She could have probably gone down to the detail level where both parties could have been much more happy with the result. And this is because when the orange was there, one of the sisters wanted the orange peel, the outside of the orange, to bake an orange cake, whereas the other sister wanted just the inside, the fruit, to eat. So if the mother had come along and said, okay, why do you need the orange, and asked both of them, and one of them had said, I want the peel, and the other said, I want the fruit, she could have given the fruit completely to one and all the peel to the other, and that would have made them much more happy. So this is a classic example. It is all over the net. If you want, you can look at it, but there are several versions of it. But what it does, it helps you understand the differences between the positions, which is I want the orange or I want the orange. And it helps you understand what the interest could actually do. If you understand the interest, you can create much better solutions. So assessing interest is one of the key takeaways today. Since you have joined this session, I would like you to take away two important things. One is the CAV framework. It can be applied to any part. And then the other part is assessing interest. So keep in mind, assessing interest is one of the critical aspects in a negotiation. We generally don't walk into a negotiation trying to assess interest. we know what we want, but maybe we don't keep a full list of what we want. We don't keep a comprehensive list of all our interests. We only know one or two things that we want. But if we kept a full list of all that we want, it will be a much better negotiation. So let's move forward. I don't think we have too much time. So next phase is engage phase, right? In the engage phase, what happens is you have the actual interaction with the other party, right? There are two concepts, framing and anchoring. I don't think we'll have time to go through those in detail. Those are the things that I go through a lot more detail in my workshops. But in the interactions, what happens in the interactions is you talk to the other party, you assess their interest during the interaction, in the sense that you talk to them, you find out what they want, maybe you prepare, you have a list that you earlier prepared, you estimated what they want, you can confirm that and add on to that list. And based on that, you take your interest, you take their interest, bring them together and create great solutions. That is what you do in the engage phase. So effective engagement makes or breaks the negotiation. This is because it is a very important phase where whatever you have prepared, you bring that into your negotiation. And at that point, now you are on the table in front of the other person and you're negotiating. A lot of things happen during this phase. You need to have proper behaviors. You need to sit with them, understand what they want. You need to have empathy. You need to have a lot of those things in order for you to negotiate effectively. So engage phase is very important. Now, moving on, the third phase is the closing of the negotiation, in the sense that you need to have an agreement. So in any negotiation, you talk to the other party, you have an agreement. Basically, okay, these are the different things that we have mutually agreed upon, right? Maybe terms and conditions. And then any necessary approvals that you have to get. Keep in mind that when you negotiate with the other party, don't assume that whatever you have negotiated with them is going to be final, because they might come and say, no, I need the approval of the CFO, or I need the approval of the CEO, or I need the approval of the board. So keep in mind always, what are these additional approvals you have to get? Because if you don't talk about those initially, in fact, you should be talking about those during the engage phase. And if you don't talk about those initially, your negotiation or your result is going to get prolonged or delayed, because now you have to wait for some more approvals. So always during the engage phase, know what other approvals are required. So Sandeep says, may you please go back to the previous slide? And I can. So here it is. And if you have any questions, we can talk about that in the Q&A. So agreement is very important. Now when you make those agreements, you have to record it somewhere. Either it's a contract or an email or whatever other means you have. Maybe it's an audio or a press release or whatever it is. You need to record all these things, because agreements by themselves are not enough. You need to record it somewhere. And then finally, once you have agreed upon things, you have recorded somewhere, then you do the handshake. Handshake could either mean, okay, send off the email to the other stakeholder, or sign the contract, or in some cases you need to do some special communication. In many cases, what you have to do is you have to know, in order for this deal to be final, what do we need to do? What do we finally need to do? Is it like a press release that will make it much more concrete? A press release is going to make it final. Or maybe it's an approval that like a regulatory approval that will make it final. So these are the things that you need to know in order for you to successfully close the negotiation. So it's the agreement, the record, and then the final handshake. Now, this is what I heard from in the Harvard conference that I went for, that I completed the certification. I heard that nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. And this is so true, because until every point is agreed, like I mentioned to you, every point is approved, every point is recorded, and then every point is finally signed off. Until that final sign off happens, nothing is agreed, because it is still up in the air, it is still in discussion, and it is not final. So that is why the close phase is also extremely important. Now, if you ask me which of these three phases is the most important, I cannot give you an answer, because each one is important. Each one is as important as the others, and each one has to be followed, right? So let's move on. Now, in addition to what the science is, the three phases, we also have behaviors and techniques. So we'll quickly go through the behaviors and techniques, and then I'll come to the questions. So behaviors basically are building trust and credibility. So anything you do during the negotiation, during the engage phase, you have to be able to build trust and credibility with the other party. So you have to earn the respect at the table. In many cultures, you have to develop relationships first before you go into actual discussions of work or business. You have to balance their needs with ours, which we know from the interest discussion. You have to be flexible. Communication is very important, and you all know that, so I'm not going to go over that. Communication, and then emotions and body language, very important. So these are the behaviors that I would call out are very important for you to go into the negotiation and make it successful by doing the right things that you need to do in terms of behaviors, right? In addition to this, there are two other concepts that I want to highlight in terms of behaviors. One is culture, so the impact of the culture, and then the second is styles. So again, sorry that we don't have time, we can't go into too much detail. In my workshops, I go through a lot more detail. Each of these topics could be an hour each, right? So culture basically is, for you to work with a person of another culture, you need to be culturally adaptive, culturally aware, and you need to be able to mix and mingle with the other party based on what their culture also needs. So keep in mind, how does the culture impact your negotiation? And that is very important, because now we work with so many people from different cultures. We need to at least know what their culture means in the negotiation and how do you deal with that. So again, as a critical topic. And the second is styles. So each one of us comes with a certain style. There are 5 different styles that are presented. If you go and search Thomas Gilman, you will, and also in the book that Richard Shell has, you will see that there are 5 of these styles, and each one of us falls somewhere in one of those styles. These 5 styles are collaborating, compromising, competing, accommodating, and avoiding. So each one of us falls somewhere in those, or maybe in some cases the 2 styles would be will be competing to be the dominant style, but each one of us has a dominant style. And we need to know what our dominant style is, because that is how we walk into a negotiation. We'll be able to work with our style, but also try to work with the other party's style. So we need to understand what their style is, and then come up with strategies that how can you change or adapt your style to the situation. So that is very important. Styles is another topic. Like I said, it takes a full hour, and it is very important. So unfortunately, I don't think we have enough time to go through that, but I just at least want to highlight to you what the culture does to you and to your negotiation, and what the styles do to your negotiation. And then finally, I want to touch upon the topic of techniques. So we all use influencing techniques daily, every day. And when you see what these techniques are, you will realize, yes, some of these techniques are so critical that we use them every day. Now, there are situations where you probably use multiple techniques. So there are multiple techniques that you can use. And also, these influencing techniques sometimes can be very subtle. So you don't need to tell anybody that you're applying these techniques. You apply it, and the mind actually processes it, and and they react. So these influencing techniques are like mind games. So they are very subtle. And also, these influencing techniques vary by culture in some cases. So you need to exactly know what these techniques are and how they're applied based on the culture also. Ultimately, it's all about the people that we are working with. So when we are dealing with people, these techniques are very important and are very effective if they are applied properly. We will not be able to go through a lot of detail on techniques, but I just want to highlight to you how important these are by showing you what these techniques are, right? So in the world of influencing, there are 3 major categories. One is the connecting techniques. Connecting techniques basically has reciprocation, bonding, and references. Reciprocation is where you do something for the other party and then they are obliged, or they're almost uh, in a in what you call the cultural aspect, they are compelled to do something back to you. So you know how you say give or take, or you scratch my back, I scratch yours, that kind of stuff, where reciprocation is something that is inbuilt into what you do, right? Second is bonding, creating that bonding to be able to influence the other party. How do you create bonding is through associations, through trust, through empathy and all that. So you create the bonding and you're able to influence the other party. And then the third is references. References is where somebody else can help you influence the other party. So all these three techniques can be used if you want to influence the other person. Reciprocation by doing something, by creating bonding, and by using references. The second category is committing. Committing technique category has two techniques: promise and vesting. Promise is where you get them committed, or you get a promise from the other party, and in which case once they promise, they are almost socially compelled or forced to fulfill the promise. In some cultures it might not work, but in most cultures the promise actually works, right? So if you have got a promise from the other party, then that will work. And then vested means where you have multiple people involved in a negotiation, you get all of them vested to your idea. So if you have five people you're talking to, you get all five separately aligned, then your negotiation becomes effective. And the third category is controlling. Controlling basically has three different techniques. One is authority. So you can use some authority to influence the other party. So authority can be maybe a person with a power, or it can be a law, or it can be some other authority that will apply to that person, right? So when you apply that authority, that other person that you're applying this authority to is compelled or is influenced to do something. A lot of people do this. They say, okay, my CFO has said this, or our CFO has said this, or things like that. So they're applying an authority, right? You probably know this very well. The second is loss anxiety. Again, this is very common, where you bring a situation where the other party might be anxious about a loss. For example, if it is a certain time that you give them only 24 hours. If they don't react, they will lose something. So that's loss anxiety. That creates loss anxiety. Or you have only certain number of items left. So you have only 5 items. If you don't react now, those will be gone. So that's loss anxiety. It creates a loss anxiety and it influences them to act. And then the third is vividness. Vividness means where you present something extraordinarily, which has a effect of controlling their mind, and they react to it. So you present something so extraordinarily that they react and they agree to what you're saying. So this is vividness. So these are the 3 different categories and the 8 different techniques that you can apply. You probably are applying them every day already, but I just wanted to share these with you. So I think we can probably, in the interest of time, Eliza, I think we can go to questions. Maybe that is more important. I think we can probably take some questions from the participants and see, or otherwise, if there are no questions, then I'll come back to this this last slide. Other than that, is after this, it's just the wrap up. So
yeah, sure. So if anyone has any questions to Anu, please ask now in the chat, or even you can put yourself unmute and ask. Okay.
Yes, I would like to have a question or to point out to you, which lately I realized when I get called from outside and people want to promote, to sell a service or a product. Of course, being an educated person, I think it is due to listen to the person, because I know they're doing a hard job. But then when it comes to the point that I think, no, that's not really for me. I try to explain and to say thank you very much. And then sometimes I feel very put under pressure saying, yeah, but this is your last chance. We only have 3 left. You must do the order right away. I think this is a very old-fashioned way of negotiation. Or is it something used? Is it an aggressive way? How do you consider it? For me personally, it's no question. If someone starts to pushing me, like an example, I only went to a forecast for correcting my case. It was written, it's complimentary, very big. So I went, and then they said, no, 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 no. You see, first you must sign, then you must pay. I said, but you put complimentary. I don't understand. What's the deal behind? And then I was a bit confused. So this kind of negotiation, strange negotiation, where you try to get the client also in not such a professional way for my belonging, is not a good thing. But it happens to me on a daily basis out in the market.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a great example, Sabine. So what happens is, some people use these techniques. Let me go back to that slide. Some people use this loss anxiety technique in a very negative or aggressive manner. Like you said, it's aggressive manner of pushing it onto you. Some people use it really badly. It's a bad case of marketing. It's a bad case of use of this technique. This technique actually could be used very subtly. So, for example, you could say the access is only available for 24 hours, and that's it, right? If it has an impact on the other party to make a decision, yes, that's well and good. But you don't keep pushing them into making a decision by saying the same thing again and again, or maybe trying to force them. The moment it comes down to forcing, I think it is bad application of this technique. In that case, what I would do is for you to really be upfront and honest to them that what they're doing, you understand what they're doing, and what they're doing is not helping in this decision. It is actually making it worse. Since this is a situation where you are able to control that discussion, you should be able to tell them, sorry, when you apply this force or this technique on me, it is not having a good result. It's not having a good impact. It is probably it's more of a distraction or more of a negative impact. So you should be able to call those out directly to them. That is what one of the best ways of negotiation communication is that you're honest. You tell them, please, I understand your position, but this is my interest. I don't want this right now. And because of that, don't force this on me, right? You should be upfront about that. Sorry, you're muted. So could you remove the mute?
Sabine, any more question or?
Sorry, you're muted.
Let me see.
Excuse me. I thank you very much for this very valued input to me, which for sure I will apply to be straight away honest, gently and honest, and let them know that that's not a right strategy. Also, I realized in many cases the people are not prepared for the call, so it fails from the beginning. And I think the industry, every company, they should give the tools to their sales staff, like you having all these tools and prepare them. My personal impression, most 80% have no idea what they are doing.
No, absolutely. And that's why I'm highlighting all these things, because I know from my experience, I know from all my workshops that I've conducted over the last 6 years, that people actually don't focus on prepared. They go into a negotiation with an intuitive mind, like trial and error. We will go there and wing it. It doesn't work like that. You need to have, in one of the previous classes that I had, this person came to me and said, oh, you know what happened? I was actually talking to, and Eliza, you would be happy to hear, or maybe Sabina, I don't know, I didn't see where you're from, but he said this team from Zurich came to us for a negotiation, and they were so absolutely well prepared that it threw us back, in the sense that they were so well prepared that they asked all the right questions. In one case, they asked the question about some foreign exchange with this person. This person was from Africa. He had no clue about it, because they had not prepared to that extent. So when you go into a negotiation, think about all the different aspects that could apply. Exchange rate, how does foreign exchange imply? So these are the things that he had to think about, but he was not ready for it. So the reason I'm highlighting some of these techniques to you is because we all apply these every day, and at the same time, the other people apply these on us, and we need to be at least aware of what these techniques are. Like just like Sabina said, people are applying this on you. You at least need to know what these techniques are, and then you'll be able to call them out separately. Okay, any other questions? Anybody else? Okay, looks like we are all good. I can then, if that's the case, then I can come back to the final slide if we have time. I don't know how much time we have, Eliza. Do we have some more time or?
Yeah, I think more 5 minutes, and then we
5 minutes. So,
yeah.
So
Okay.
I'll come back to this slide, which talks about the common mistakes that people make in a negotiation. So not following a structured process. So like Sabina highlighted, they don't prepare for it or they don't engage properly. So if you don't follow a structured process, prepare, engage, and close, you'll only be intuitively negotiating or trial and error negotiation. It's never effective, right? Failing to understand our own interest and the interest of the other party. It never helps because you don't know what you're negotiating for. Paying inadequate attention to proper behaviors. This is the worst case because if you don't go into a negotiation with proper behaviors, it is almost certain to fail. Failing to focus on the special attributes for the interaction. So in an interaction, what are some of the things that you should be doing? You should have courage to ask. You should have flexibility. For example, I highlighted this to you earlier. So some of these things are very important. And I go through a lot more detail. Again, apologies, we didn't have time today, but these are some of the special attributes you need to have. Not understanding the influencing techniques well enough. So just like we were going through, if you don't understand those, then you fall for them easily. And then deficiency in learning from your previous negotiation. So if you don't learn from what your previous negotiation was, then how is it going to be applied in your next negotiation? So you need to be able to learn properly from all the previous scenarios so that you can make your next negotiation effective. So some of these are common pitfalls or faux pas that people have in their negotiation. And Faisal is saying failing in creating emotional contact. Yes, absolutely. Great point. Failing to build that the connection, failing to build trust is very important. It helps your negotiation if you do that. So it's great. I think those are the important points. I do have some pitfalls in other areas, but again, in the interest of time today, we didn't have a chance to go through all the pitfalls. But this is the high-level pitfall that I wanted to highlight. With that, I think I have come to the end. Basically, what you need to do is focus on the science, apply proper behaviors, apply the influencing techniques, and then practice. And with that, everybody can become a better negotiator. So you can become, like I say in other workshops, you can become a negotiator extraordinaire if you have done all the requisite the things that you need to do. So here is a little bit of my contact. I'm on Gmail. My phone number is here. I have my own website. I also have my own Propellers website now, which again, if you connect with me on LinkedIn, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and then we can talk about other aspects. If you have any interest in exploring negotiation workshops or anything like that, please get in touch with me. And that's it. Thank you for your participation today. This is all I had for today. Eliza?
Yeah, thank you very much, Anu, for doing this for us. So as I said, we work together as well. So if you want to have a look on our platform as well, what we do in discovernew.net, please have a look on our website and you can contact us even for Anu and his workshops if you're interested in that specific topic. Here is also, I share my screen now. Here's our contact. info@discoverneu.net. Phone number and the website discoverneu.net.
Yeah. Please reach out via Eliza for when you come to me. It's best to keep Eliza in the loop.
Okay, great. So hope to see you on our next workshops. And thank you very much for a great audience today, and Anu again for amazing presentation. And let's keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting. Best regards from Lugano. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Everybody. Bye-bye.